What's up? What's up? Alright, let's get this going. I want to go fast today. I don't want to be on the charts all night. Alright, hope everyone's having a good day, good trading week. I'm having a pretty good week so far, so I'm not going to push anything too crazy. I definitely want to find some possible good setups for tomorrow. Maybe take one or two trades and then probably be done for the week. So, first things first, let's check out the DXY. And yesterday on the Next Wave platform, I did an analysis. Pretty much going to go like every other day. I'm going to go live on YouTube, then Next Wave only, then live on YouTube, Next Wave only. So make sure you subscribe to this YouTube because, I'm still going to be giving out the value here as well. So make sure you subscribe and give the video a like if you don't mind. So especially if you learned something, right? So here we go. On the DXY, first thing I want to point out, tomorrow's going to be Thursday, right? and we're seeing some type of possible 3-wick topping pattern on a weekly. So, we came into this supply area and we're kind of wicking out at this point. Now, rest of the week we could just be bullish, and that might close with a bullish candle. Not sure what's going to happen. But it's, overall long term on the weekly, if we close like this, the market's most likely going to fall into these areas of demand. But we're not there yet, right? Yesterday we did have a bearish day. The day before I did speak about like news possibly pushing the market up, and if it did get into these areas, you might want to look for sells. It did happen. I didn't play it, so I'm not going to act like I did or anything. But now we have this bearish candle here. If we go into the 4-hour, it's starting to look like just a retracement. Now, I had fibbed this low to high, came right into the 61.8, right off the 50 EMA, and it's starting to push up. One thing to note as well, there's a gap in the market over here. So way over here, we had a gap, and it does not look like a gap on this time frame. So let me go to the daily. That's where I was seeing it. And maybe I'm mistaken. So that's interesting, right? You can see it on the daily that there was definitely a gap. And I'm just going to highlight this area just so I'm not tripping. Right? There's definitely some type of gap right here. But then when I go on to this 4-hour time frame, which I haven't checked that gap out on the 4-hour, there is no gap. So I'm not sure what that's all about. Interesting. I'll go ahead and just delete that because that's interesting. Didn't really see that. I know everyone else just saw what I saw, so that's kind of weird, right? The daily's definitely showing a gap, and the lower time frame's not showing that gap. So that's kind of weird. Whatever. I'm gonna act like it's not there, I guess. Either way, we're in somewhat of a reversal pattern on the dollar, and I would like to see it end up coming to touch the high of this pattern again. That's what I want to see happen. And if we can get up there, that's when I would look for this pattern to start to reverse. So like I said, on the 4-hour, from swing to swing, we hit the 61.8, 71%-ish, and this could start to run up. You can see the momentum. The MACD is higher than it has been in the previous swings. The slow line, which is my trend line, if that's above 0, I'm more likely to look for buys than sells. And then when I go on to the 1-hour, the slow line is down, obviously, because we've had this move down here. So once this slow line picks up above 0, we already have the momentum popping. I'm leaning towards this dollar moving to the upside. There's a lot of fundamental news, I know, so maybe one thing I'll look for is a move down and then a move to the upside, come touch the bottom of the pattern. I don't like trend lines a whole lot, but I know you have to draw trend lines with patterns, so I like patterns a little bit more than trend lines, if that makes sense. So we could see something like this and then a spike down to make a lower low in price, but the momentum, I would like to see the divergence in the momentum to confirm that this move down here is exhausted. And then I would look for bullish opportunities off of that. Now, what I said about the weekly candle, this could be, what we saw earlier in the week. That could have been the high of the week right here. Let's zoom in on that. That could have been the high of the week, and we could be seeing a move down. So that might not play out. I'm seeing kind of both ways with it, because this is a pretty strong move to the downside as well. But if we do get that bullish divergence in this area where there was good demand, good move, strong move up, if we come back into that with divergence, I personally am going to favor the upside on the dollar. Okay. I don't really see any downside plays on the dollar unless it comes up here, right? So either way, I'm kind of looking for the dollar to move to the upside, at least to this area at the very least. And if it breaks this, then we're coming up to the top of this pattern, 38 or the 61.8 extension. So that's what I'll be looking for in the dollar. I want to see move down, create the divergence, then start to form some type of move like that. We might not get that, like I said, with the weekly candle coming down. We might get something like this and then smash. So we'll see what happens with the dollar. It's kind of in a 50-50 area. Higher time frames kind of look like it could drop. Lower time frames kind of look like it could continue up. So it's usually not the best. So that's going to mean most of these are going to look kind of 50-50. Now yesterday I did draw this out for next wave. I drew out this impulse, retrace, drop. And it looked, it's starting to play out right now, but this is the same thing. For me to really confirm that this is going to drop because of how it moved. If you've been on my analysis before, what I like to see after an impulsive move, I like to see two things. I either like to see a very slow correction and then it hit my area to fall, or I like to see an A, B, C wave. Okay, right here, this kind of just moved up almost as fast as it moved down. So I'm not liking the sells just yet. I want to see some type of divergence, just like for the dollar. Okay, so here it's kind of the same thing. The inverse of the dollar, you can see these wicks down here on the weekly. And this could start to turn around. So it's 50-50, right? For me on the euro, it is in this reversal pattern here. So it might be starting to break out of this. I would like it to touch one more time down here into this demand area. You can see there's high demand here, high demand down in here. So I'm just going to move this up just a hair to get this into that pricing as well, just touching that demand. And I would like to see it come down there, and you can see the extensions. You can see the extensions of this move down comes into that demand. So really, I do favor the downside for EU, but it's in a 50-50 area, and I don't love 50-50 plays. If, like I said, if it does create this 1 hour divergence with, we already have an impulse up, this would need to come down a little bit, and then this would need to move up like this, creating this type of divergence, and then something like this, all the way up to the 78.6. If we can get that type of play, price making higher highs, momentum making lower highs, off the 78.6, that'd be a pretty good confirmation. You can see the high volume off the 78.6 as well. So that would be a shot worth taking, in my opinion. Let me just see if I can get a little risk on that. It would be around 22 pips, taking it at least to here, right? But ultimately, like I said, all the way down in that demand, that would be the spot. So that's definitely a play I'll be looking for tomorrow. I'm going to move this alert just up here so I can get alert at that 78.6. Last bearish impulse. Okay, AU. So AU played out from last night as well. It came down and hit the 78.6, came down, tapped it again, and started to move up. To me, it's a little choppy, right? It's in the same type of scenario, I believe. Weekly is throwing bottom wicks. So if this week closes like this, I expect this to move up next week. But right now, we have sort of a bullish candle to play off of. And it's this basically this fib here. So we could take this fib off since we're not looking at that move anymore, and go into a move from here to here possibly. Now, I usually don't play that small of an impulsive move, especially with kind of liquidity lows right here. But it's definitely a shot worth taking if you're looking for AU to go up. I would wait for these type of prices down here, right? And then possibly look for a move to the upside. But personally, um, it's not my type of setup. So I'm gonna hold off on AU. I don't want to play AU. And what I do basically on these analysis, the reason I like to do them is because I like to analyze the market every night to set up my odds and probability for the next day. So I go through the pairs that I look at, and then um, when I wake up in the morning, I have alerts set. I wait for the alerts to get hit, and at that point, I make a game time decision, or I'll have a limit order, right? Just based off of how things are looking tonight. I might have a limit order, I might not. But either way, I'll have an alert, so when the alert gets hit, I'll be able to either execute right there or be able to say like, whoa, no, price isn't doing what I want it to do. And I like to just let other people look and see what I'm looking at. To not necessarily to take my trade or anything, but just to maybe see how a trader actually does what they do every single day. Every trader does this every night pretty much, but I just like to go live and show people how consistent you actually have to be to really do this, right? So my GU alert from last night didn't quite make it there. I saw these equal lows, and I wanted price to come tap this and then make this move to the upside, and sadly it didn't. So I'm going to delete this. I don't think I really want to play that bullish move now. It's just a little too impulse up, impulse down, impulse up, impulse down, impulse up. It's not really the best look in my opinion. I definitely do. No, I don't really see the upside on GU just yet. It's been holding in this demand for a good amount of weeks now, but it's just not looking super great in my opinion just yet. There was a pretty good amount of divergence off of this flat top right here. I'm going to delete this fib just so we can see price a little bit better. And also I'm going to take off these EMAs. I don't trade with the EMAs. I just use them for analyzing because I've had them on my charts for so long, but I don't really trade off of an EMA. So I really just use the MACD and volume. Price action, I guess, too. So this is kind of just holding right here. I guess if this can break with some volume and some momentum, it might be something to look to take up here. But other than that, I don't really see a quality setup on GU. Let me go to 15 minutes. There's a lot of space down here for the market to get down into based off of this move up. I expect it to come down in here and then probably move to the upside, but like I said, I don't really see a trade opportunity yet. So far, EU is definitely the best looking trade if it can give that divergence. So here was another setup I was looking for yesterday. Didn't make it there. That happens. Let's go to the daily and see what this looks like. Yeah, so what I was playing, I'm going to just delete this so we can look at it a little bit better. What I was playing was this big impulsive move to the downside on the lower time frame. It's just a complete impulse. On the daily, it's just a big daily candle. I was waiting for price to come back into the 61.8, 78.6 area. I had alert at the 61 to alert me. Was going to take the trade off the 78.6. Didn't get there. I don't really know if it's going to get there. If it does, it'll might be a good opportunity still. I'm going to leave it just in case. If it gets up there, what it's going to do is going to look like a harmonic at this point. So we have the X, the A, this is the B, this is the C, and this would be the D up here. So if it does get up here, that would be a nice little harmonic. I don't know the names anymore. I used to try to remember everything, but this would be a nice little harmonic type retracement, and then hopefully a move to the downside after that. We'll see though. It also would be making a really big W to head north. It just all depends on what the dollar does. If the dollar, let me just check the dollar out one more time. If the dollar makes its way to the upside, like I want it to, and it starts to reject here, and E or U chef is in this area and it doesn't break these highs, so it would be a form of divergence, a cross pair divergence, right? So the dollar, if the dollar breaks these highs, I expect EU to break these lows, and I expect USHEF to break these highs. But like I said, if the dollar breaks those highs and USHEF is just chilling in this supply area, then I'll definitely be looking for a short opportunity right here. So that's kind of how I cross-analyze these pairs a little bit. UJ was a good sell-off that I didn't get into. I was talking about it yesterday, and I said I was trying to be patient, waiting for these prices, and it just fell out completely. So I do think this is going to continue down. It had big divergence. I did talk about this at the beginning of the week on my weekly analysis. I said how the weekly looked like it could start to sell off. You could see this bearish pattern as it hit the supply. I said the weekly looks like it could definitely sell off. And there was a spot on the daily time frame where it looked like it could continue this little uptrend. So you can see it's making these ugly higher highs and higher lows. This is corrective. And it was at this spot. So it was at here, from here to here, and right here it looked like it could take off. I said on the higher time frames, it's not lining up with the lower time frames. This is kind of how EU looks right now. The higher time frames looks like it could tank, but the lower time frames looks like it could go up. So those are the times where it's 50-50, and you definitely want to assess your risk whenever the market isn't lining up on like the higher time frames and the lower time frames. So I didn't take this opportunity because it was just too 50-50 for me. And then what do you know, the market tanks out. So what I'll be looking for on UJ is whenever it's done doing what it's doing, I'm going to take it from the high to wherever this low ends up, and I'm going to wait for a good retracement opportunity to sell it again. So what I want to see is either A, B, C, and then sell off, or I want to see it chop and then sell off. Basically how it did here, I want to see it do it again. And I could have taken this fib from this impulsive move here. Sometimes I just pick and choose my fib levels. What do we got going? It's locked. Okay. And you know, everyone chooses their fibs however they want, I guess, but you know, sometimes I go with the impulsive move in the MACD wherever the impulse started, which would have been up here. Sometimes I go with the swing to swing. It's just kind of a intuitive thing, something you back test. I usually go swing to swing more than the impulse in the MACD, but this one would have paid off on the impulse in the MACD. The 78.6 got hit and the market ran down a good amount of pips. I do expect this to keep going, as I said. So what I'll be doing, I'll be patient. I'm going to take it on the lower time frames and see what we got going on. So there's a good amount of volume here. I'm just going to mark this area off. And if UJ comes back into that, it's like 110.50, 110.40 area. I guess between 110.50 and 110.30, honestly. That'll be the area that I'll look for possible sells. Now, if it just keeps selling off, as it's doing right here, and it forms this type of pattern, that will be a possible correction buy up into that area. Those are a little bit higher risk, so I use a little bit less of a lot size when I trade those, but it looks like that's what's about to start happening. You can already see the lower lows in the market and the higher lows in the MACD. So that's divergence. That's just telling me that this is getting a little bit exhausted, but I don't think it's formed that on the 1 hour yet. No, it hasn't. So it probably still has a little bit to go still to the downside. And if it can reach this area with that divergence, that might be the spot to look. You can see there was big bulls that came into the market, started to push this little retracement up. So I'll be watching UJ. Yeah, this is an area definitely where the bulls have stepped in. So that's a good price to look for if you're thinking about trying to like buy this retracement. 109.70 might be that spot. I'm gonna put look for divergence. I'm gonna say bullish divergence. In that spot. So really, so far, I like EU the most. Still 50-50. And I like UJ. I don't really care for U-Chef's correction that it could have. I don't really care for GU. I don't really care for AU. So let's go look at the GBP pairs. And this is almost doing exactly what I wanted it to do. So this is a little bit interesting. I think I spoke about this. I think it was this, had to be this week. Yeah, we've only had a couple days. So this is the price that I had marked off. It barely missed it. I'm going to delete it. I didn't even have it alerted. Oh well. It barely missed that price I was looking for. We have been talking about this area for quite some time, and it looks like the market finally came in and tapped it. You can see how I drew what I wanted it to do. I basically said if it comes back into this range, right? If it comes back above this demand area, then I'm looking at this as a stop hunt. Okay, I told people that I'm not buying these lows right here because this looks like it's going to get swept off and then this move up. So this is actually a trade that I really like to see. I like to see when there's equal lows and then the market takes it out and then comes back up. That's a form of Wyckoff accumulation. And this would be the spring. And I'm looking for the test. And then I'm looking for this to end up running up good. So that would mean that the GBPs might be a little bit more bearish than anything. EG going up, GJ going down, GU going down, GA possibly going down. We'll see what that looks like. So I'll be looking for these targets up here, at least the top of this range, because this is just a big O range up here. And ultimately these highs as well, but I'll just stick with this target for now. Let's go to supply. And let's go down to the lower time frame. So this looks like a really good trade setup for tomorrow. Or sometime this week. I would like it to come back into this. Really, I want it to keep going. So the clear break of structure would be ideal. But at this point, we're kind of getting, I spoke about this as well, this inverted. If it can keep going just a little bit more, head and shoulders right here. That would be ideal. I would ultimately want it to come down at least to the 61.8% just to follow my rules. That's why I said I want it to come up a little bit more just so that 61.8 can come up a little bit as well. You can see there's low interest down here, so it should reject as it comes back into this area. It should reject off of that and move up. So I'll be watching, definitely going to be watching EG. It looks like there's some divergence on the lower time frames, which is good, so we can get a correction. And then once we get that correction, we should see a move to the upside. The lower time frames are showing impulse. 4 hour, I want to see, okay, good. There's some movement here. I want to see this start to come up above the 0 line to really confirm that we should move up. So I'm definitely going to be watching EG. That one, you know, when I see something like this versus, you know, this or this, it makes me want to just sit back and wait for this type of move to happen instead of playing these, if that makes sense. These are more 50-50 in my, well, UJ is a little bit risky completely because it's going against the trend. EU is kind of 50-50 because higher time frames are possibly bearish, lower time frames are possibly bullish. All the other ones look like ass. So let's look at GJ. I'm not going to cap. I called GJ hard last night. So this was a sniper, one of the nicest snipers I've caught in a minute. I don't consider myself a sniper, but I like to wait for the best price possible. So sometimes it ends up being a sniper. So I had fibbed these. Well, first of all, I was looking yesterday at this. Let's see. This was yesterday. We've already started to move down. So I saw this candle the day before yesterday, I guess, and was like, okay, bearish bias based off of the engulfing. And what I basically did was I was looking at this type impulse down type move, increasing volume, and fibbed that out. You can see it better on the lower time frames. So I had fibbed this impulse, obvious impulse down. You can see it in the MACD, created lower lows in the MACD, and the slow line also came down with it. So the trend was starting to change to the downside. Then we had exactly what I like to see, an A, B, C correction. And then it sniped the 78.6. So I actually didn't have a limit order there. I waited for price to get there, and then it chilled there for a second. It threw like one wick on the 15 minute. It threw one wick on that 15 minute, and the second time it came back into it and touched it, I caught this move right here. And then it just sunk. So that alert was perfect. I'm glad I set that. I'm going to delete it at this point. And I'm going to continue to look for this to, I mean, it already has, it's almost dropped into the TP, final TP. So just one quick note on how I trade the 78.6. It's not a risky position, but if the 78.6 doesn't hold, right, your stop's getting hit pretty fast. So you got to understand that pretty much, knowing that if you lose, you're going to lose quick. If you get into profit, you're most likely going to profit very fast. So I target these negative 61.8 and then negative 382. And, you know, the risk to reward on these trades are 6 to 1. So one trade like this can really make your week. And that's why I said I'm not really caring to trade too much this week, because I already had not ending the week, but already had a pretty good trade. Now, when you have a 6 to 1 and you start to take profits, it doesn't end up being a 6 to 1 anymore, right? It ends up being like a 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. So what I do on these trades is, if this is my risk, and I'm going to take it, I'm going to just change it to yellow so we can see it a little bit. This is my risk, right? When the market goes to what I risked, so we'll bring it down here. When the market goes whatever I risked, I move my stop to break even. Because like I said, you're either going to technically win fast or lose fast with these type of setups. And then if it goes double what I risked, so now it's at a 2 to 1 here, I take half off the table. So automatically, when you do that, say you risk 1% and you're at 2 to 1, you're gonna take 1% off the table. So any loser you had for the day, you're gonna make that back. Then you have the possibility to let the rest of your trade run. So say you risk 1% and you take half off. Now you still have 0.5% running, and if 0.5% runs all the way to 6 to 1, you're going to make 3 more percent. So you already bagged 1%, and you can make 3 more percent. So that's why I like to take these trades, because you can ultimately end up with a 4% winner if you risk 1%, 8% if you risk 2%. And then ultimately, you really don't. I mean, if you do lose, you most likely are going to hit your 2 to 1 to get your money back on another trade, and then if you win one trade a week really like this, you're going to be set. So it doesn't happen every week. Last week I didn't catch any of these. I think the week before it did. None of them extended to the 61.8. So, but this week made up for that. So let me get off that. That's just how I trade. Just want to let people know. Increasing volume on the 1 hour. This is going to continue down. I'll be looking for pullbacks just like EG. This one's a little different though. It does have a nice demand area here as well. So if it does come into here, that's probably going to show where the pullback is, and then we're probably going to finish down, similar to or opposite of what EG should do. This has got a nice little trend going here. Ultimately, just going to wait for this to come back up and then look for another bearish opportunity. It is a little 50-50 though, with this possibility to happen as well. So I already took my profits, or already got my profits on GJ. I'm probably not going to stab at it again. I'm not going to get greedy with it. But this move up and then quick move down, those are the areas that I look at as well for shorts. Good amount of volume in this, so definitely leaning towards the bear side, especially with the daily candle from yesterday and how it's looking right now. GA, interesting. The daily on GA is screaming it wants to drop. I mean, screaming. The 4 hour is not wanting to break this demand. So the safest way to play this is to wait for this to break. I don't know what I have this on for, but wait for this to break because it does look like it wants to drop. If this breaks, it should drop at least down to here. That's probably where I have that. Now, if you want to be risky, you can try to play this head and shoulders. Try to catch the top of this move, because if the market does extend up, and then if it does extend up and end up falling, it's just going to come up here and leave another wick and then fall. It's not a bad move at all, actually, to look for this position. I believe this did take out these highs, so it was more or less of like a stop hunt move. Anyone who was looking to short GA and put their stops at the high definitely got stopped out, and then the market came in this direction. It also has the slow line below 0 on the 1 hour. Let me see what the 4 hour looks like on the MACD. Okay, the MACD is leaning towards the downside. Now, structure hasn't broken, so it is pretty risky. I would definitely wait for the best price you can get. If you're gonna try to sell this, I might take a stab at it, because I do think the GBPs are going to end up falling. But we'll see what the AUD really is trying to do. 786, risk and sell. So this is more or less a risky position. Let me see what EA looks like. There we go, EA. So we called a buy on EA from next wave, and it's finally playing out nice. Very nice. Let me see what's up. Dang, EA is going in. Good stuff. So yeah, we called this buy. I called it on the next wave last night with this move. What I was saying overall, so let me just reanalyze it. It's in a, and I'll just delete this because So it's in a overall uptrend, right? And this bullish candle is what I was really playing off of. So when you go to the 4 hour, you can really see the swing to swing, and it was kind of chopping up like I like to see. Chopping up slowly, and it hit the 61.8. It ultimately did hit the 71% that Abdul likes to use, and made this move to the upside. Now, what I said on the live is I said I'm gonna wait for a lower time frame because this is a swing trade idea as well. We have an intraday and a swing trade playing out right now. So the swing trade would be something major like this. 100 pip stop for a 330 pip TP, and I believe we even got in lower than this. But the 1 hour, or excuse me, I was looking even at it on the 15 minutes. So I wanted to see just a break of structure and then a retracement. And that's exactly what happened here. You can see it was a nice impulse. You can see the impulse in the MACD. You see the slow line break up. You see the move up. It retraced. And then now it's finally started to move up. So that's a good looking trade right there. It's most likely, I mean, I think it did end up coming breaking even on the intraday, but the swing should be playing out nicely. And this is making me think that GA, or it's making me think that the Aussie is pretty, pretty strong right now. So might not want to really play that GA trade. We'll see what this ends up doing. This does look like it's running up nicely. If it does just automatically shoot down though, might get an entry at the 78.6. So I'm gonna move this down here to see what's up. Just like a retry. We'll see what happens. Ultimately, I'm not gonna try to catch anything else on this. It's just gone. Let's look at gold. So gold did exactly what I wanted it to do. Gold broke through these highs. Didn't give me as deep as a retest that I wanted. I think this is going to end up moving again. I had a feeling that this was just about to break out. Let's go to the daily and see what this candle looks like. Yeah, very bullish. So I wouldn't try to sell gold. Like I've been saying, I'm not trying to sell gold until it goes up here. I think tomorrow we're going to see more bullish moves on gold. So let me try to find a position or an opportunity. Here maybe. Basically just back into this. It needs to come back and retest this area and then move up. And those fibs line up really nicely with my other 61. So that looks like a really good opportunity on gold. I don't like trading gold that much for some reason right now. It's just not my thing. I don't really like trading GJ either, and it didn't work out. So I'll be looking for something like this on gold possibly, just for, I'll put an alert at the 61.8 just to see what's up with it. I might scalp it more than anything. Here, volume is dying down. Looks like it could retrace soon. Definitely has the divergence on the 15 minutes, so we probably will see this start to drop a little bit. I'm not going to sell it though. You can see right here, there's not a lot of volume. If it does start to drop, it's coming right into these areas. It's going to get there fast probably too. So watch out for that. VIX. This thing disrespects me every day pretty much. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all. This thing disrespects me. So I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know what this thing is gonna do tomorrow. I don't know what the indices are gonna do tomorrow. They're probably gonna go up on some stupid-ish. They're ugly to me. I don't know, NASDAQ, let's just look at it. Let's just look at it. NASDAQ, it's got some wicks leaning towards the downside, but I'm not seeing any trade ideas. Let's look at the US 30 daily. It's got one wick. I'm not seeing anything on US 30. It's kind of just sideways. Not Bitcoin yet. I'm excited to look at Bitcoin. So I did mention this possible move yesterday. I didn't play it. Oops. I didn't play it. Let's see. It would have been pretty. Would have got stopped out. We got close. It didn't. Let me just see. It would have probably got stopped out. Like, let's see. Barely. Wow. So yeah, this made this move up high and then dropped. I was looking at this possibly being a play after this impulsive move that did break structure, come back and then drop. If you had a limit order there, of course, it would have got stopped out. But I don't think I said anything about my limit order. Let me erase this. This looks pretty sloppy. The indices, to me, I wouldn't mess with them tomorrow. They're not showing any direction except ugly. So don't mess with them unless you're in love with it. All right, Bitcoin freaking did what it needed to do. So I said yesterday, if Bitcoin can leave a wick on the daily, we should move to the upside. And because when I was analyzing it last night, it was down here at like 31. And I was like, oof, this looks rough. It was doing this. It was doing this. Tanking. What time is it right now? 22? Where's 22? Right here. It was doing this candle. And I was just like, man, if this doesn't turn around like right now, it's going to keep tanking. But it respected this pattern very nicely. So I think there might be an opportunity now. 4 hour looks like it's going to tank, but there might be an opportunity that this starts to turn around just based off this pattern, right? It looks very nice, and I want to see this happen. It still hasn't put in any higher highs or higher lows. It has on the 15-minute, but it isn't confirmed just yet. It did what it needed to do for me to even think that it could continue up. Ethereum, it made this nice impulse. I wanted it to retrace. I was actually going to play that move if it came back, and instead of retracing, it just took off. So I spoke about Ethereum last night. It came into this daily 78.6 and left a nice little wick. I'm going to delete this zone so we can just focus on this. Came into the 78.6 and did move right off of it. So last night I was saying it's at 78.6. If it doesn't move now, it's probably just going to tank. It moved now. So there's definitely an opportunity that this could either double bottom at the 78.6 again, or this could just come back into this level right here, because this did make a nice impulse. Definitely made a nice impulse. So I'm interested to see what happens with these cryptos. Most likely won't play them on leverage, but I might add a little bit to my account if it does retrace a little bit, because they all did what I wanted them to do. They all left wicks on the daily, and you can see a lot of times when there's good wicks, we do end up kind of turning around. XRP did the same thing, basically left a little wick, touched like 58. I believe, yeah, 58.7, and then came back up to almost 62. So there's definitely a probability that they could move. They didn't impulse as much as I wanted them to, honestly. I would like to see structure form to the upside. That will give me a very high confirmation that the crypto should start to at least turn around a little. Price action right here on the 4-hour on Bitcoin is not showing love at all. Low volume, that's love. On a pullback, you do want to see low volume on a pullback. But ultimately, it kind of has this little left, head, right. That's what I'm looking at it for it to do. I want to see something like that on Ethereum as well. I want to see, this doesn't have the head and shoulders, but I want to see the pullback and then the move up. If we can get this pattern right here, just pull back and then a higher high, that would confirm that this should start to swing up a little bit. That's it for me, guys. I appreciate y'all for coming on, and for those who end up watching the recording. Again, give us a like, give us a follow if you want to see some more analysis, and then of course go check out TradeTheNextWave.com. Come join the squad. You have a good one, man. Peace.